You're live.
Stop. Just a week. Just on a 3-day big. Appreciate it. Little house cleaning. Last week, if you haven't realized it, we got knocked offline. We had some technical difficulties we couldn't fix. So if you go onto the channel on YouTube and you pull up week 7 last week, you're going to see 2 videos there. One is 4 minutes long, and the other one is 20-something minutes long. Of course, that doesn't equal an hour. So there was some stuff that not, but there's also in a different part of the same channel, you'll see some messages. There's a message from me directing you to a big book study from 2022 and a certain week to pick up that. So if you go to the same channel, BB Study 2022, and week 8, you can watch what got knocked out last week. It's pretty much the same. Okay. But there are 2 videos there from last week, 4 minutes and 20-something minutes. You should watch both of them before you go to the old study. Another house cleaning thing is this is the month I'm going to be leaving. So on April 29th, we will not be here that week. So, and we won't be live. It won't be recorded. It won't be anything. So just that week is just a blank. Okay. So, if you still have time, if you want to come to Scotland, you can. We're doing a 3-day big book study there. You can come there and participate there. Okay. So, question for you. How many people actually did their homework?
What was that?
Wasn't here.
The homework was to do your first step. Whatever you're working the steps on, it was to write down everything you think and do when it comes to that, whatever you're working the steps on, that you would not think or do if you were in sound mind. That's the exercise. That will take you to a place where you'll start understanding yourself and this disease that you're dealing with, or whatever you're working the steps on. So,
I forgot to ask last week, is that like for my whole lifespan or just for a week? I couldn't figure out where to start because I guess if I were sane, I would have done my homework, right? But what about when I was in school? I didn't do my homework. It's great. Yeah, beat my ass for that. So I mean, if I was sane, I would have done my homework. So that's the problem. Over how much time?
well, what are you working the steps on?
Number 4,
What are you working the steps on?
alcohol.
Alcohol? Okay. So yes, you go back through your life, as far back as you could remember, and what you write down, everything you think and do when it came to alcohol that you would not think or do if you were in sound mind. So, how many people worked it on alcohol or drugs or both? Okay. Anybody want to share their list? Go ahead.
Sure, Mike. Yeah, so
So you're working it on alcohol and
on
drugs?
alcohol.
Okay.
So these are things that do excess.
Not due to excess. It's things that you would think or do that you would not think or do if you were in sound mind.
Falls in that list, yeah.
You can tell we're in a meeting.
Gambling. It's what I would do when I was.
So you wouldn't gamble when you're sober? You don't gamble at all?
No.
Okay.
Buy things. Gamble, buy things, increase jealousy. And I would, plan trips, book the damn things. And. Yeah. So that was the fourth.
Okay, but buy things,
Uh-huh.
you have to buy things when you're sober. So and you're talking about excessive shopping. Excessive shopping, okay. Like yeah. Like you don't order a Lamborghini when you're sober, right? Okay. Okay. What else did you put down there? It's got to be more than that. You want to write down as many things as you can, no matter how silly they seem. As long as you can assure yourself that there's no doubt in your mind that if you mess with alcohol, this is what's going to happen to you. That doesn't happen to you if you're in sound mind. So it's very important to get all the things. I think I shared with you some of my stuff. I had 3 lists originally. I had a list of alcohol, a list with cocaine, a list with marijuana. Those were the 3 things that, and I think I shared last week. There wasn't very much on my marijuana list. It was, but I was positive that every time I smoked some weed, I was going to eat a meal. All right, even if I just ate a meal. So, because in sound mind, I don't eat back-to-back meals, right? So, those are the kind of things you want to write down. Just regardless of how silly or insignificant they seem, you want to make a list. When you're dealing with alcohol for so many years, you have to have more than 4 things on there. So you need to go through that list and expand on it.
I should ask this last week. Can you give me a couple examples of things that people work steps on after alcohol, or alcohol specifically in general?
Anything. What are you working the steps on? Rick?
Job.
Your job? Yeah. Okay. Did you do your homework?
I did today.
I know you did. She called me at 4:00.
I'm still not a good student.
What'd you write down?
I would steal from my employer, like take pens or toilet paper or whatever essentials I don't have. I'd be late. I would lie. I would quit before they could fire me. I would get drunk or high at my job. I would end up arrested for sure. And then I would just think I could get away with everything.
So looking at, what do you get out of that when you look at
Well, for me, I look at what my life is like on drugs and alcohol compared to what my life is like now. Like it's almost like a 2020, like hindsight type of deal. Those are not technically my problems at work today. The problems are more of issues with my attitude within myself, or thinking I know better than other people, or thinking so-and-so thinks they're smarter than me. Maybe they should come do my job so I don't have to do it, or stuff like that. They know it and oh, you can do it. Well, you can. So you got all these bright ideas.
So does anybody else want to share theirs? Go ahead. What do you want to steps on?
Drinking,
Okay.
things I do, drink with my kid, not behave, not clean the house, let the dogs piss on the carpet, steal time and money, sleep with random men, say mean things to my kid, avoid my parents, spend money I don't have, drive drunk, drink at work, drink before I play soccer, isolate, watch excessive TV, and cheat.
You say drink before you do soccer?
Yeah.
So you actually drink and go play soccer?
Yeah.
Damn, you're good. Okay. So when you read that back to yourself, what do you get out of that? Okay. What else? Huh? Powerless. Do you see that? So you see the powerless and you see the unmanageability. Okay, that's where the first step is supposed to take you. All right? We admitted we were powerless over fill in the blank, that our lives have become unmanageable. So if you can make a list, and at the end of that list, and you read it back to yourself, if you can see the powerlessness and the unmanageability, guess what? Page 30 in your book, second paragraph. We learned we had to fully concede to our innermost self that we were alcoholic. This is the first step in recovery. So, learning to fully concede to your innermost self that you're an alcoholic is, we don't have a lock. My exercise is not the only way that that's possible, but it's a good way. It works all the time. And whatever you're working the steps on, the same thing applies when you get to the end of it and you read it back, you go, damn, when it comes to my job or when it comes to whatever, shopping or whatever, look how unmanageable and look how powerless I am over this, right? What? Go ahead. All right. If you insist. Okay, so do you get it? Does that make sense to you guys? So hopefully you'll learn to utilize this tool over and over and over again. I still utilize this tool on a regular basis, numerous times a year. Because when I want to look at a situation that I'm a little not sure about, I go through the same process and I apply this test to it. And it works well. It gives me insight and it lets me see where I'm powerless and where the unmanageability is. I can fully concede to my innermost self that I'm whatever blank, fill in the blank. So what I want to say to you is that as we go through the 12 steps, you're going to realize something. The steps do not address the symptom. The steps do not address the symptom. The steps address the problem. And the reason for that is really simple. If you take care of the problem, guess what? There's no symptom. There's no symptom of a non-problem. There's not a symptom of a problem that doesn't exist. So our book tells us that alcohol is just a symptom, right? And so whatever you're working the steps on, that's just a symptom. And so you have to get down to causes and conditions. I think it's on page 64. Top of the page, I think it's the next to last sentence. It says, our liquor was but a symptom. See? Our liquor was but a symptom, so we had to get down to causes and conditions. So the steps will address the problem. If you solve the problem, you have no symptoms thereof. And we just finished up more about alcoholism, where every page had examples of alcoholism and examples of the problem. And I think we can all agree that the end result of drinking and using is we wind up alone and hurting. And what we do when we get into recovery, what's available to us is we could become anything we want to be here with the 12 steps and the people around us and a God in our life. We could become anything we want to be. The thing with that is that in order to be who we want to be, we have to first understand who we don't want to be.